Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel Knowledge Hub. Today we will discuss about Sophos XGS Firewall. Before that we must know about firewall. For that let's take one example. In our house we must have one entrance point. At that entrance point there must be a door. Anyone wants to enter into our home, he must knock our door. Our family member come and check whether that person belongs to our relative, friends or we know him. After that he decide whether to allow or disallow that person enter into our home. In this example our door is the barrier in between the house owner and the stranger. To overcome this barrier we follow some rules and policy. Like this firewall is the barrier in between the trusted network and untrusted network. So let's know about trusted and untrusted network. Trusted network is one in which devices are interconnected in such a manner that only authorized users allows to communicate for secure data to be transmitted. Example is local area network. Untrusted network is totally out of control to manage. Wide area network, that is internet, belongs to untrusted network. Okay. Now you clear about firewall. Now let's know the working principle of firewall. Firewall works based on certain rules and policy, which is known as firewall rules and policy. Now we will discuss about firewall technologies. The word firewall commonly describes a system or device or software. A firewall is security devices used to stop or mitigate unauthorized access. The only traffic allowed on the network is defined via the firewall policies. It grants or rejects access to traffic flows between untrusted and trusted zone. A firewall monitors and checks incoming and outgoing network-related traffic. It decides to allow or block specific traffic based on defined set of security rules. A firewall can be hardware, software, or both or can be cloud-based or virtual. The first generation of firewall technology consisted of packet filters techniques. The second generation of firewall started with application layers technologies. The third generation of firewall had stateful filters inspection, also called NGFW. Firewalls are relied upon to secure home and corporate networks from any attacks. Now we will discuss thoroughly generation of firewall one by one. Stateful firewall. Stateful firewall maintain the state of connection in the state table of firewall. After adding information in state table, it forwards the packet to the destination. When it receives the reply packet, it match the packet information to state table. If firewall receive the reply packet, if match packet is accepted, otherwise drop. Next one is stateless firewalls. Stateless firewalls watch network traffic and restrict or block the packets. These firewalls restrict or block packet based on source and destination addresses. Stateless firewalls also restrict or block packet based on other static values. Stateless firewalls are not aware of the traffic patterns or the data flows. A stateless firewall filter, also known as an access control list or ACL. Stateless firewall does not statefully inspect the traffic to keep the records. It evaluates packet contents statically and does not keep track of connection state. An example of a packet filtering firewall is the extended ACL on Cisco routers. Another type of firewall is packet filtering firewall. In packet filtering firewall, packets are filtered using the access list ACL. Packet filtering firewall is vulnerable to IP spoofing network attack easily. Cisco IOS use standard or extended ACL, named ACL etc. to filter the traffic. Limits info is allowed into a network based on the destination and source address. Packet filtering firewall can only be implemented on network and transport layers. Packet filtering firewall filters packets based on address and port number only. Next, proxy firewall. Proxy firewall works as a proxy for clients of internal LAN users. No direct communication occurs between client and destination server. Takes requests from a client, puts that client on hold for a moment. Makes the requests as if it is its own request out to the final destination. Proxy firewall is memory and disk intensive at the proxy server or device. Proxy firewall could potentially be a single point of failure in the network. Application firewall. Application-level gateways works on the application layer of the OSI reference model. Application firewall you can block or control the traffic generated by any applications. Application firewalls can also be configured as caching servers to increase performance. Application-level gateway firewall is more processor-intensive but have very tight control. Application firewall is the ability to analyze traffic all the way up to the application layer. Another one is personal firewall. Personal firewall is typically software application that is installed on endpoint device. Personal firewall protect the device itself from unauthorized intrusions or access. Most operating systems such as Windows or Linux have integrated personal firewalls. Personal firewalls protect a single host or device only in the entire local area network. Personal firewalls control traffic arriving at and leaving individual hosts in local area. Personal firewalls have the ability to permit and deny traffic based on the application. Personal firewalls have also the ability to define policies for different classes of network. Now we will discuss about transparent firewall. It works at layer 2 or it forwards the frames based on destination MAC. It has the capabilities to filter the traffic from layer 2 to layer 7 of OSI model. Transparent firewall is invisible to devices on both sides of protected network. Transparent mode does not support dynamic routing protocols or more stuff. Virtual wire firewall. Virtual wire firewall mode logically binds to Ethernet interfaces together. Virtual wire firewall mode allowing for all traffic to pass between interfaces. Virtual wire, also known vWire, deployment options use virtual wire interfaces. A virtual wire firewall mode requires no changes to adjacent network devices. A virtual wire interface supports app ID, user ID, content ID, NAT and decryption. Virtual wire firewall mode is typically used when no switching or routing is needed. Traditional network firewall. Traditional firewalls work at the network and transport layer of OSI model. Allow or block traffic based on criteria such as an IP address and or port. Zone-based firewall. Zone-based firewall is the most advanced method of a stateful firewall. Zone-based firewall is available on Cisco IOS routers. The idea behind ZBF is that we do not assign access lists to interfaces. In ZBF, different zones created and assigned interfaces to different zones. In zone-based firewall security policies assigned to traffic between zones. CUD-based firewall. Cloud firewalls are software-based, cloud-deployed network devices. Cloud firewalls built to stop or mitigate unwanted access to private networks. As cloud firewalls are a new technology, they are designed for modern business needs. Cloud firewalls are sit within online application environments to stop any attacks. Firewall as a Service, WAS, Security as a Service, SICaaS, are the examples. Next, Virtual Firewall. Virtual Firewall is a firewall service or an application for virtualized environment. Virtual Firewall provides packet filtering within a virtualized environment. Virtual firewalls are commonly used to protect virtualized environments only. Virtual Firewall is often deployed as a software appliance in virtual environment. A virtual firewall manages and controls incoming and outgoing traffic. It works in conjunction with switches and servers similar to a physical firewall. Next, UTM Firewall. The term UTM Firewall or simply UTM, Unified Threat Management, is the terminology. It is given to hardware or software device capable of assembling various security functions, such as packet filtering, proxy, IDs and IPS, protection against malware, application control. UTM provides multiple security features and services in single device or service on network. UTM includes functions such as antivirus, anti-spam, content filtering, and web filtering, etc. UTM, Unified Threat Management, Firewall is not considered next-generation firewall. Next-generation firewall, NGFW. NGFW performs the role of a traditional firewall and adds NGIPS features. Next-generation firewall is part of the third generation of firewall technology. All NGFWs offer two key features: app awareness and control and ID awareness. Next-generation firewall, NGFW, provide deep packet inspection of traffic. Next-generation firewall are application-level inspection and intrusion prevention. Next-generation firewall provides all traditional IPS features with high performance. Next-generation firewall allow and block traffic based on specific application as well. Next-generation firewall allow and block traffic based on user information as well. Next-generation firewall, NGFW, provide both IPS and application control functions. There is no big difference between the UTM and next-generation firewall, NGFW. Next-generation firewall provide high performance and processing using to protect. Web Application Firewall. WAF is an abbreviation for Web Application Firewall. A Web Application Firewall, WAF, is a network security firewall solution that protects web applications from HTTP and web application-based security vulnerabilities. A traditional firewall is limited to functions such as packet filtering, network and port address translations, NAT, and VPNs. It makes its decisions based on ports, protocols, and IP addresses. Nowadays, it's no longer practical nor reliable to implement security policies in such an inflexible and non-transparent way. NGFWs provide this approach by adding more context to security policies. Context-based systems are designed to use information like location, identity, time, etc. in an intelligent way with the purpose of making more effective security decisions. Next-generation firewalls also distinguish themselves from traditional firewalls by adding features such as URL filtering, anti-virus, anti-malware, intrusion prevention systems, IPS, and more. Instead of using several different point solutions, A NGFW greatly simplifies and improves the effectiveness of implementing security policies in an increasingly complex computing world. AWF specifically targets application traffic. It protects HTTP and Hypertext Transfer Protocol secure HTTPS traffic and applications in internet-facing zones of the network. This secures businesses against threats like cross-site scripting, XSS attacks, distributed denial of service, DDoS attacks, and SQL injection attacks. WFs protect attacks at OSI model layer 7, which is the application level. This includes attacks against applications like AJAX, ActiveX, and JavaScript, as well as cookie manipulation, SQL injection, and URL attacks. They also target web application protocols HTTP and HTTPS, which are used to connect web browsers and web servers. WFs can follow either a positive security model, a negative security model, or a combination of both. A positive security model WAF, also known as whitelist, rejects everything not named as allowed. A negative security model, also known as denialist, has a list of banned items and allows everything not on that list. Web Application Firewall, WAF, provides centralized protection of your web applications from common exploits and vulnerabilities. Web applications are increasingly targeted by malicious attacks that exploit commonly known vulnerabilities. SQL injection and cross-site scripting are among the most common attacks. WAF devices are widely used to protect websites, e-commerce, mobile apps, and other online applications. AWF is deployed between application servers and network edge routers and firewalls. AWF filters, monitors, and blocks HTTP/HTTPS traffic to and from a web application to protect against attack to compromise the system data. The main difference between a firewall and a web application firewall WAF definition is that a firewall usually protects network and transport layers 3 and 4. AWF offers protection on the application layer 7. DNS firewall. DNS firewall is a type of firewall which is used to prevent client DNS queries to malicious domains IP addresses. DNS firewall uses DNS response policy zones and threat feeds to prevent most of the attacks. Domain name service response policy zones is another name for the DNS firewall. DNS firewall can do following things: redirecting the queries of malicious domains to a particular IP address. From that we can get to know how many clients accessed the IP address using analytics or insights. Can block the malicious IP subnet's host names when the DNS query for the malicious IP subnet hostname comes on the DNS firewall. Blocking the DNS server IP addresses which host malicious domains. All the above can be done by configuring response policy zone on the DNS firewall. DNS response policy zone contains multiple DNS rules with the action associated with it. Each and every rule in the DNS response policy zone can be configured based upon following requirements. DNS query. We can block the DNS query coming as soon as it is coming from the client. DNS response. We can block the DNS response if it contains malicious IP address or domain in the response. Name server IP address. If any name server hosting the malicious domains or IP address, we can block it. The action can be one of the following if the DNS rule matches. Send non-existent domain response. Send no data records response. Change the IP address FQDN in the DNS response before sending to the client. Allow DNS response. DNS firewall also uses threat feeds to get to know the malicious domains present on the internet. Some of the DNS firewall vendors provide inbuilt threat feeds and provides the option to integrate with third-party threat feed vendors. Placement of the DNS firewall in the network is the most important criteria to protect most of the attacks. DNS firewalls mostly implemented on the internet edge so that DNS queries responses can be validated before sending it to other firewalls. Vendors such as F5 Infoblox, Cisco, Bluecat and others provides DNS firewall functionality. This is all about firewall. In the next tutorial we will learn Sophos XGS firewall. Thank you for watching.
Please subscribe my YouTube channel.